During the Shurangama Sutra, it was healing, and now it's gone. Maybe the Naga King is here to listen to the class. Did you see him? We can't see the Naga King, can't see the Celestial King, can't see the Human King. I'm simply giving a class by myself, don't have any audience in front of me. I don't even have humor anymore. I only feel quite lonesome. There is no dinner. I didn't have dinner, though I really wanted to. I was quite hungry, only had a little bit of tsampa. Oh, so there's a guarantee that you will cook me some meal tomorrow? Then that's good.
下面我们讲一下那个什么下面就是讲的
Now let's get into a journey to the West. Yesterday we already talked about the previous and future lives. Now we're going to look at the infallible law of cause and effect. Engagement with wholesome deeds bring peace and happiness, while unwholesome deeds cause rebirth in inferior circumstances. Now this part, Ponso Rinpoche talks about cause and effect. Now even including some monastics without good foundation in contemplation and listening, they would still hold certain doubts in cause and effect in past and future lives as well. But all of you who are listening to it, you should really contemplate upon it. If one falls into three lower realms due to the force of his or her negative karma, the suffering experience there is unimaginable compared with any kinds of suffering in human world. For those of you who don't believe in cause and effect in past and future life, you should really contemplate, such as the reincarnation of Karmapa. Because of his past life, he would be able to prophesy for his future life. If he does not have a past life, then how could he prophesy for his future life? And also the Karmapa is able to remember his past life, his past activities, and the past kinds of incidents and so on. I've heard lots of weird stories of the 16th Karmapa. When I was having a pilgrimage tour to Samye in Thimphu, I believe I told you about that. I stayed there for 2 or 3 days, and around noontime, a lot of the government authorities came along, and then at that time there is no cell phone or even telephone. And then I saw Karmapa. He was quite young. He was wearing a yellow clothes, very naughty as well, a very naughty boy, running here and there. And then we came to the cave where Longchenpa practiced at Samye. Karmapa was giving a very simple blessing ceremony and was touching the crown of the practitioners. So I also went forward and received his blessings, and I felt that his hand was really rough, really tough rather. When I received the blessing from the 10th Panchen Lama, I remembered his hand was also like that, but Karmapa was just a child. When we watched him, he was just like a Tibetan child running here and there, and the authorities tried to stop him, but he doesn't listen at all. So he would purposely run into the bushes and hide from the authorities. And I saw that maybe the Chinese authorities were getting quite worried. And all of us, and the group of us who paid the pilgrimage visit to Sanye Temple, were just simply staying there and watching with great curiosity. I've met lots of great masters, the Panchen Lama and great masters of the, who went outside and so on, received great blessings from many of them. So Khenpo Rinpoche over here said that people who practice virtue would receive peace and happiness, and who practice non-virtue, then they would follow their negative karma and have a suffering experience. It is long-lasting, unendurable, and of various kinds. For that reason, we need to watch over our actions, and we need to carry out our activities with great care. I think that you must notice that Khenpo Rinpoche's teaching is a very good and balanced combination of both theory and practical teachings. On the other hand, if you cultivate an abundance of virtue, it is certain that you can take rebirth in a pure realm such as Sukhavati. The way that Khenpo Rinpoche presented the teaching and practice of Sukhavati is very different than how he presented it to the Eastern audience. In the East, he would give teachings such as you should chant the 300,000 times of the Amitabha mantra, and rather the 1 million times of Amitabha mantra, and so on. It is more in accordance with the tradition of Larungar, but his way of presenting it to the Westerners is not like this at all. Rather, he is very inclusive. He said that the Pure Land is unimaginable in terms of qualities that cannot be compared with anything in human world. Therefore, you must be diligent in cultivating virtue in order to attain the inconceivable peace and happiness that comes from rebirth in pure realm. What are the non-virtues to be abandoned, and what are the virtues to be cultivated then? Any actions that causes harm to other sentient beings is non-virtuous, such as killing, stealing, lying, and deceiving others, and slandering or sowing discord, among others. All such negative deeds need to be forsaken from the root. The opposite is to engage in actions that do not harm others by observing mindfulness through body, speech, and mind. We can see that the language of Khenpo Rinpoche is very concise and right to the point. This initial stage can be exemplified by how Jigsaw Milarepa embarked on his Dharma path. At first, his uncle, aunt, and other relatives mistreated him and developed a hatred towards him. Based on this, gradually he came to understand that everything in samsara was unreliable and without a true existence. In this way, he determined to rid himself of all negative deeds, including the most insignificant non-virtues, and started his journey of practicing only virtue. Now we can see the next subtitle. I added those subtitles, or you can say outlines, so that the content would be more clear. But when Khenpo Rinpoche was given teachings, it was without any of those subtitles or those outlines at all. The fundamental practice of Mahayana is first to take refuge vow with the determination that even at the cost of your own life, the three jewels of refuge will never be forsaken. Well, many of you who came here for a long time, you probably know the Toku, whose name is Toku Dishta. One of his attendants is Lama Gaba. And Lama Gaba, during the Cultural Revolution, once the authority asked him to kill a yak, and the yak was already all tied up, and then Lama Gaba was also all tied up. And then there was someone whose name is Jiayangka and said to him that whenever you decide to kill this yak, we will release you. If you do not do that, then by tomorrow afternoon we will kill both of you, both the yak and you. And even under this circumstance, Lama Gaba said that he made aspiration all the way from the morning to night, saying that I'd rather be killed and I would not kill that yak. And not only he said that I will not kill this yak, he continued to chant mantras and rededicated merit to this yak. And at the end of it, there was a lay practitioner who killed the yak for him, and then the authorities released him. When we contemplate and try to put ourselves in the practitioner's shoes, such as his, can you be sure of which choice that you would make? Would you forsake the three jewels when it comes to such kind of choice? Along with that, you should follow the Bodhisattva's path by considering the welfare of all sentient beings and cultivate the attitude and conduct that cherishes others more than yourself. How do you do that? This is a famous instruction on mind training in Tibetan Buddhism that says, "May I take upon myself all defeat and offer to others all glory." This indicates that in our spiritual practice we must strive for others' attainment of benefit, success, and happiness and joy, helping them to enjoy all that is positive and good, while readily taking upon ourselves all kinds of suffering and misfortune. It is certain that as beginners we cannot accomplish this goal 100%. Nevertheless, we can train ourselves in this practice progressively. What is progressive training then? First, we need to cultivate the attitude that treats ourselves and others equally. This is called making ourselves equal to others. Just like we wish for happiness, all beings equally wish for happiness. And just like we do not want suffering, all beings equally do not wish for suffering either. In this regard, there is no difference between ourselves and others. Therefore, we should treat others just the same as ourselves, and trying our best to bring them happiness and free them from suffering. Like this, we develop loving kindness and compassion towards others. Second, cultivate the attitude and consider others to be more important than yourself. I will give you an example. If you were to treat a person who has no blood relation to your kinder than your own son, and if he still considers you as an enemy and imposes harm to you, then even though you are being treated unfairly and poorly, you would hold no grudge against him. Rather than reacting, you would take care of him with even more love, like a mother deeply loves her only son who unfortunately suffers from a mental disorder. No matter how the son hurts her, the mother would only be concerned when the son might recover from illness without harboring any anger or hatred towards his difficult behavior. Like this, you must learn how to develop an altruistic mind towards those who harm you. Well, speaking of this, I have to speak of the media and movies and TV shows nowadays that we have. It seems that the media is not propagating the teachings of how to cultivate loving kindness towards the others. Rather, it talks so much about how to be cunning to others and how one holds a grudge towards others and so on. It's indeed really terrible. Many people would see those movies, and it is really a reflection of the movies of our life as well. So we should try to love the sentient beings.
用刺耳的这种话，就是拜半的，就是指责自己，但自己呢，
For instance, a person who is not actually related to you, you may scold you with all sorts of harsh words in front of hundreds of thousands of people without having any sense of retaliation for this disrespect and rudeness. You should show this person your loving care because you are considering that anyone who directly points out your faults should be respected as spiritual guide.
但实际上呢，就是有些人是，包括我们就是现在这个可能成千上百人的话呢，以前是不一定，但现在的话呢，
if a person who it would be difficult for a person to point out your faults in front of hundreds of thousands of people. But nowadays it's very easy through internet. For the practitioners, usually we know the extent of karma that's created by such kind of conduct, but the worldly beings do not. They would create difficulties out of no reason, and they would slander others out of no reason on internet. If it were to happen in a sangha, if one were to scold the others or to slander others out of no reason in such kind of a public, that would lead to severe consequences, such as it being dispelled from the sangha. Because this kind of behavior could create great danger to the whole sangha and sometimes to Dharma, especially to great masters who already generated bodhicitta. But of course, to some people, they may not fear those kinds of consequences at all. They really enjoy slandering. And for great masters, they do not fear slandering. They would rely on it as a practice, but that could lead to consequences to people who do that. So over here it says that perhaps you have brought no harm to a person, but without any reason this person beats you or even beheads you. Still, you do not hate him at all, only wishing him to attain happiness and to be free from suffering. This is how we should develop an altruistic and compassionate mind towards all sentient beings. This was exactly how Jetsun Milarepa treated his relatives who had been his enemies. After he relied upon Marpa Lotsawa and aroused genuine bodhicitta in his mind, Milarepa showed great compassion to his aunt and other relatives who used to treat him like enemies, and then he taught them the noble Dharma, gave them instructions for actual practice, and eventually guided them onto the noble path. Therefore, for each of you present here, please give deep consideration to this principal point of Buddhist teaching. As I have mentioned earlier, my intention for giving this teaching is to inspire both Buddhists and non-Buddhists. I wish some of you who have not yet begun to practice the Dharma may find a way to begin, and those who have started may then strengthen your practice. Also, I wish that by hearing my teaching, the non-Buddhists can give rise to a joyful mind toward the Buddha Dharma. You can see that in the photo, Pontsog Rinpoche also appears to be quite joyful too, so we should stop here today.